Text the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida with your rants, hot takes, picks, and takedowns.
This is unacceptable at the University of Alabama.
This should go 7 games. You've got to have a bad game at some point.
The Red 70s studio line, 850-215-6290. ESPN Northwest Florida. Get in the game.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Tuesday's weather forecast. A possibility of thunderstorms and mostly sunny the rest of the day with temps near 86 and a wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies tonight and a temperature of 80. About the same tomorrow, around 86 with a variety of some sun and a possibility of thunderstorms. Partly sunny and likely thunderstorms Thursday and very warm around 86. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Get ready to discover new adventures this summer and hit the road in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Our SUV family is built for all-in adventures and endless possibilities. Stop by Bill Bird Kia today and test drive a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. You'll find the perfect balance with comfort, safety, and technology. Now offering 1.9% APR up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento during the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. Bill Bird Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. See us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. Enjoy the view this summer because the road is yours in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $1,748 per 1,000 finance in 60 months. Qualities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is the Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 7725.
No one wants to deal with a plumbing, electrical, or HVAC emergency. It's even worse when you're not sure what it'll cost, when it'll get fixed, or if someone's just selling you something. When you call Hiller, you can trust our experts to actually solve your home's problems quickly. And with true transparency pricing, you know the price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. Book online now at happyhiller.com. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Wahoo's Express Car Wash is now open and proud to be your local go-to car wash, offering top quality service with a personal touch. Their monthly membership plans make it easy and affordable to keep your car looking its best all year round. Wahoo's Express Car Wash has advanced equipment and an experienced team to ensure every vehicle leaves sparkling clean. Committed to fast, friendly service and spotless results every time. Come see the difference at Wahoo's Express Car Wash, intersection of Michigan Avenue and 23rd Street.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios.
Pushed away and intercepted. Ball game. The fairy tale continues.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
And the breakthrough for the U.S.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You're now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 in Panama City. Hope you're doing well this afternoon. Beautiful Tuesday afternoon in Panama City, Florida. Again, 104.3. Caveman Rick on the ones and twos this afternoon. Caveman, how are you doing?
Doing great. Well, I'm a little under the weather, I guess. Got some allergies, so if you hear me stuffed up tonight, that's the reason why.
Hey, there you
Outside
go.
of that, doing pretty good, though. Glad to be here with you guys, man. Like Tuesdays, I hear Tyler talking some college football. Been having some good luck on the Hard Rock lately.
Yeah.
So, sports world's looking good, even though it's kind of stagnant for most folks.
Yeah, it's stagnant for most folks, but you have been crushing it. Tyler Bishop, our college football prognosticator, in the building with us for another Tuesday. Tyler, how's it going?
Doing good, man. Played some awful.
I can't hear you. Okay.
But, hey, bad golf's better than a good day at work, so, yeah.
That's true. So what'd you shoot? You were playing out there at Dogwood Lakes. When'd you stop keeping score? 8th hole?
12.
12? Okay.
Yeah. So it's funny because, like, the hardest hole was 10, so I had a terrible front 9, par 10, and I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, the
no, I
ball
did
is
not
30.
But
it's
a
whole lot.
And I pulled, but it was terrible. It was rough.
Couple holes after that where you're like, all right, things are turning around. It's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to quit this hole, but I'm not going to be very happy playing it. And then moving on, we're just not going to.
Yeah, just stop keeping score. Just go out there playing for fun at that point. Try to make a few shots in there.
In your group, are you normally the guy who keeps score, or do you, okay? I was about to say, so if you're not that guy, then the other guy, he's like, what'd you shoot? Shut up! Don't even ask me that question for the rest of the day.
We were both playing so bad. It just got to the point that we just out there kind of playing, trying to work on some stuff because, like I said, ain't nothing was going all that well out the bag. So it didn't matter for driving, putting, chipping, irons, play. Nothing working. But it was a good day still.
Yeah, that's how it is sometimes. But it's a great game. And I enjoy playing. It's been a while, but we were just talking about some of the courses and some of the prices. Maybe we'll get out there and play one of these days. We will have Alan Watson, owner of Golf Plus. He'll be on with us this Thursday at 4:20. Do you ever watch any of like the major championships in golf? Do you ever watch any golf?
Yeah, typically on Sundays, like final day. Obviously, especially like the closer it is, the more fun it is. Oakmont, watched a good bit of the U.S. Open this weekend until the rain delay and got sidetracked doing some other stuff once they started putting on some Tiger reruns from 08 or whatever it was.
Yeah, probably 19, yeah.
And, man, the course and, like, the shape it was in and how tough it was kind of fun, like, as a very, very amateur golfer. Like, see the pros at, like, I think 5th place at one point was, like, +2.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously +2 is still a lot better than I would have played, but, like, it's better than seeing, like, -12 on the leaderboard. Because, like, -12 for me is just not even fathomable. But, like, +2, okay, I could be +2 for at least, a few holes. But it's kind of just different. It's kind of like, watching like football or whatever, like a defensive heavily game versus a shootout. It's a little bit more relatable as like a very average, below average, whatever it is, golfer.
Right.
No, that's not seeing like the -18s.
Well, I think the word that you used, relatable, that's what it boils down to. Makes it a lot of fun. I mean, see, it's
that
obviously
birdie putt to win it though was.
If we were playing on that course, then we're talking about shooting 200 over par, probably like a 272 into the clubhouse. But that's interesting. And yes, the replay. I don't know what year it would have been, but he won in 2008, 2002. So when I said 2019, but that's the Masters. Why would they be showing replays of the Masters for the U.S. Open? But that was the 10th time that they played there at Oakmont, which I believe it was you had one player hit a hole-in-one. That was just the second hole-in-one in history, which only 10 times there at Oakmont, but still pretty cool stuff there. But a great win for J.J. Spahn in the U.S. Open. Really cool story.
Hell of a putt, too, that he made.
It was
the final
It was like
putt,
63 feet.
64 and a half. 64 and a half. I mean, 63, 64 and a half.
Splitting hairs at that point.
Like at that point.
We're splitting my type of hairs at that point. So,
but I mean, the curve it had. I mean, it was an insane putt. It was awesome.
And that was like he had another sick one, like 3 or 4 holes before that too. So he was just on his game this weekend, man. Like wire to wire, pretty much.
Yeah, and I believe it was on. Is it 16 or 17? That's the par 5. And drove the green. I mean, looked like the daggone thing was going to be going in on his second shot and had a chance at eagle, but missed that. And it kind of kept everything interesting going into we didn't know for sure that J.J. Spahn was going to win until he made that putt. And if he would have missed that putt, he still would have won.
We're talking playoff.
Provided no. Had he missed the putt that he made, he would have had to miss the par putt.
The 2 prior holes, though, that was big talk about, because they had, they were pressed for time. Due to daylight and stuff like that they might have to carry over till Monday actually. So I'm kind of glad it was over though.
If they would have went into a playoff, I don't think they would have started it because it's a 2-hole aggregate, and then you play 17 and 18, and then I think you just continue to play 18 over and over and over again. So I don't think that they would have even started that, but it would have been fun. Give them a glow in the dark ball, say, all right, here we go, boys, get after it.
That'd have been cool.
Oh, man. All right. Well, lots to dive into. It's the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up at 4:20, we're going to have Courtney Mims on with us. She is over there in Arkansas now covering the Arkansas Razorbacks. Currently, she is actually in Omaha. She was there for the no-hitter, so she's going to join us. She used to be the sports director here at Channel 13 News. Courtney Mims joining us at 4:20. She's going to go over Gage Woods. She did a story on him 2 years ago, and we'll talk more about the Arkansas Razorbacks here in the College World Series. Then at 5 o'clock, so Tyler, we talked a little bit about this last week off the air of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing our record, our schedule prediction, not schedule predictions, but win-loss predictions for all Power 4 teams and then some of the notable G5 teams and Notre Dame, of course. But we've got about 9 Tuesdays total? I think last week you said 10 Tuesdays.
I think it's 10 including today.
Okay, 10 including today. So with that, I figured we'll do 4 teams for the next 4 weeks, and we'll do a little preview on them. Today is going to be Texas, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. So we'll go over some previews there, get our college football prognosticator, Tyler's predictions or thoughts really on these 4 teams, his previews for them. And then at 5:20, what are we diving into at 5:20? I can't even remember. Oh, I do have a soundbite to play for Diego Pavia. Did you hear? Have you heard?
I've heard some of it. I didn't hear the Big Ten part. I've heard some of the other stuff, like a school was offering him $4 million to come play.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with that. But we'll just
allegedly, the SEC school was offering him $4 million for his final year here.
Interesting. Well, I think he thinks he's going to be putting Vanderbilt on the map, and he kind of already has. But I think he's trying to take over a state. We'll talk about that more at 5:20. As always, taking your calls and text right here on the Red 7T phone line at 850-215-6290. Your Atlanta Braves taking care of business, if that business is losing. But we're taking care of business by airing the Atlanta Braves right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage starts tonight at 6 o'clock, taking on the New York Metropolitans. First pitch at 6:15. Spencer Schwellenbach going for the Braves. He is 5-4, ERA of 3.11, whip at 1, and his strikeouts. He's got 84 strikeouts on the year. David Peterson, one of the unknown, if you haven't been watching the Mets, but he's been one of their best pitchers this year. He's 5-2, ERA under 3 at 2.49, whip sitting at 1.19. He's got 71 strikeouts on the season. Braves and the Mets tonight. Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida. Sponsored locally by Bill Bird Kia, PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hewitt Tire and Auto, and Hometown Towing.
You guys get them before we get them this coming weekend.
Yeah, well, who's y'all's series this week?
Marlins.
Okay, all right. So basically all we're doing is flip-flopping, because we've got Mets, Marlins, Mets at the house, Marlins, Mets on the road, then the Phillies back at Truist. So it's a commanding schedule for the Braves coming up, and it hasn't been looking great. And every single conversation right now, it feels like surrounding the Braves is, are they going to get rid of Snicker, and what are they going to do at the trade deadline?
Look what I started, man.
Yes, shut up.
That's awesome, man.
Shut up.
Man, I
wish I had a battery right now, and I wish there wasn't a window in between.
I wish I would have threw a Ben Franklin on that, man, back in February when I was thinking that.
Yeah, you would have had to find the site who, you know what I mean?
Bovada, Bodog, one of those.
Bovada probably would have had it.
Yeah, definitely. Probably.
Bovada probably would have had it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I think this is going to last the whole entire season, and if they don't make the playoffs, I could see them moving in a different direction. But the trade deadline, to me, is an anomaly. I have no idea what the Braves are going to be doing, buying, selling, or holding, and seeing what 2026
right
looks
now, you
for
would
them.
think you don't have to sell, man, as far back as y'all are.
That's right now.
Yeah,
you get to the All-Star break, and then you got a few more days until the All-Star, or until the trade deadline after that. So yeah, almost a whole entire month right there. But yeah, we'll see. I don't have the answer for it, and no one does. Honestly, when they're playing like this, no one's got the answer for it.
AA's got the answer, yo.
Well, we're hoping so. That's the
doing.
one in AA in this particular specific situation. This is the one I want to trust in Alex Anthopoulos.
Deals already been getting done, man. We looked at Devers the other day, so anything's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, right there. We get a little echo. And Well, I was going to say, and the Pacers made a trade. That's the NBA. That has nothing to do with
that's kind of odd, too. You still got you still got the finals going on. They're talking about a trade with the Pelicans.
Yeah, I had no intention of bringing that up. And then you started
a trade deadline? Or is that
it's for the draft is coming up. Okay. So it's kind of like the transfer portal in the middle of college football playoff season.
Too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a first-round pick. Yeah, I didn't look at the rest of the details because, like I said, I didn't have any intention on bringing that up, and then we started diving into the trades. But we will dive into the Thunder last night looking strong, really, for the entirety of the 48 minutes. You did have the Pacers kind of diving back in or making it a more competitive game early in the fourth quarter, and then the Thunder just separated themselves again. Anytime that the Pacers came back last night, the Thunder just put their foot down on the Pacers' throat and took care of business. Jalen Williams last night, 40 points, time and time again. He was just entering into the lane, really unimpeded, and was looking phenomenal last night. Again, SGA, he just does this thing. He's a silent assassin because you don't really hear about him a whole lot, and I'm not speaking media-wise. Obviously, like throughout the broadcast, SGA. I guess what I mean is he's not the flashiest of superstars, right? And then he just sits there and gets to his mid-range spot, picks his spot, and snipes, man. Like, the dude is so good. You know when he's backing an opponent down and he hits the turnaround jumper, it's almost guaranteed to go in. But it's been a fun series to this point. Thunder have that 3-2 series lead. Tyrese Halliburton, they're going to be giving him an MRI on his calf. He had a situation, really he's been dealing with it throughout the entirety of the season, but here in game 2 we noticed that he was limping off of the podium after the press conference, so it didn't really affect him in games 3 and games 4 as much, but in game 5 he had a little slip and fall which kind of aggravated that, and he was on the floor for a lot of minutes last night. 34 minutes, 0 for 6 from the field, 4 points. I think that, yes, the offense moves faster and more efficient with Tyrese Halliburton, but at the same time, you're giving up, he's essentially a decoy out there who's playing a role in the offense, but it's like a quarterback who can't throw, but he's got really good legs.
There's always we see this in every sport when there's a superstar with an injury, and it's like, okay, is this guy at 80%, is he better than the backup at 100? Mm-hmm. And I mean, and especially in a game like basketball, there's so much running, going back and forth, you're having to play both ways. Like, it's just a whole different thing there. And sometimes you almost feel like they have to keep him out there because of who he is, but at a certain point, like, is that what's best for the team? And I mean, I'm not saying his injury is why they lost, but it becomes a very fine line you got to kind of toe there when you're dealing with it, especially a superstar who is injured.
Justin Lassiter chiming in. Yeah, you're 100% right. Justin chiming in. He says, Caveman, what up? The Phillies jersey hat combo looking pretty sweet. He also says, it's fair to count the Bravos out, but until AA shows me he can't, don't doubt him completely. I agree with that. Game 6 for the NBA Finals will be over there in Indiana or on Thursday evening. So we got Tuesday, Wednesday to wait for that.
Game 6 tonight in hockey.
Yeah.
No big playoff games starting tomorrow, and then basketball again on Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, tomorrow's Wednesday. Yeah.
Panthers going to pull it out tonight?
No. I think I got Edmonton winning tonight. I hope. I want to see Game 7. I want to see, because Game 7, they had 7 games last year, these two teams, so I'd like to go 7 games again. The only way that could happen, got to win down in Sunrise tonight, Edmonton, to take it back to Edmonton.
Yeah, that's going to be a heck of a game, I think. I've got Edmonton winning as well. I think they're going to go over on the goals once again. They've done it in every game this series. It's just, if this game goes to overtime, I feel...
Draisaitl, man.
Yeah.
I think if it goes to overtime, I take Draisaitl.
You ticket favors Edmonton tonight.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, the way, like, when we talked to Andrew Weiss last week on Friday, I think is what it was, I just think Edmonton, like, when their back's against the wall, that's truly when they get the most and the best out of, like, that like, talent nucleus that they have, McDavid, Draisaitl, those guys. I mean, they play great, just regular, but like when the back's against the wall and it's time, it's like clutch time, man. Draisaitl's just clutch, dude. There's one guy, so yeah, if it goes to overtime, I would think Draisaitl's going to factor in either assist or a goal.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I do have Draisaitl on a parlay tonight to get over 1.5 points, so I'm cool with that.
The parlay that I got set up right now tonight is skewed towards Edmonton winning. I got there's Draisaitl and McDavid both going over, which is 1.5 on the points. So I mean, if they win, that's going to have to happen. I don't see Edmonton winning with a bunch of goal scoring coming from guys like Darnell Nurse and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Corey Perry, Vander Kane. If they're going to win, those two guys have to get points tonight.
It's going to be an interesting one, and as you mentioned, if they do win, if the Oilers do end up winning, then we'll have Game 7 in Edmonton, which will be the opposite. Last year, Game 7 was in Sunrise, Florida, and this year it'll be up there in Edmonton, which will make it, how crazy would that be for back-to-back years, same teams in the Stanley Cup Finals, and you get Game 7s out of both series.
Pretty sick.
That would be great. College World Series update, Oregon State and Louisville. Louisville just scored another run. They are up 6-3. I believe we're heading into the 7th inning, so I guess...
going into the 8th.
Going into the 8th inning. So we're going into the 8th inning. Louisville on top of Oregon State, which Oregon State was a team I had pegged ready to go to the College World Series. They ended up losing to Coastal Carolina. And now, here we are, Louisville, a team that has kind of had their backs up against the wall in a multitude, really coming into the College World Series. You had Vanderbilt as the number 1 seed in their regional. Then I think a lot of people were counting them out in their super regional. And now here, who'd they play? Who was it that they played in their super regional? I'm trying to think now. That's not on the top of my head. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we'll be talking with someone from Omaha. We got Courtney Mims on the line coming up next.
Celebrating 2 years of broadcasting history.
I told you this would work.
It's the Best of Bay awarded Inside Drive on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Weekdays 11 to 1 with Ryan Mulvey.
I love it.
Covering the biggest stories, breaking news, the latest trades, and taking your calls. The Inside Drive is live and local middays from the Gulf Plus Studios.
Happy anniversary.
Beckett was on roids.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Tuesday's weather forecast. A possibility of thunderstorms and mostly sunny the rest of the day with temps near 86 and a wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies tonight and a temperature of 80. About the same tomorrow, around 86 with a variety of some sun and a possibility of thunderstorms. Partly sunny and likely thunderstorms Thursday and very warm around 86. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. ESPN Northwest Florida. He entered a kids' 1 mile fun run and came in 9th. David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs. Weekdays 4 to 6 on ESPN Northwest Florida and the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
Back in the doghouse built up by CBC Construction. You can visit their website at cbcconstruction.com or call them at 850-747-3815. We're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. You can like and share the Facebook feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to get over to the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. Text in any questions if you have any today for Courtney Mims, as she is over there in Omaha, Nebraska for the College World Series. She's a sports anchor, a reporter for Pig Trail Nation, also for KNWA Fox 24 and KARK for News. You also know her from her time here as a sports director of Channel 13. Courtney, how you doing up there?
I'm doing great. We're here at Charles Schwab Field below the stadium right now, working, getting ready for the Hogs to play UCLA tonight. So we'll hope the weather stays good for us. We're fingers crossed there.
Yeah, it does look a little dark over here on the TV for us, as we've got Louisville and Oregon State playing in a close one right now. But yesterday was maybe a close score, but not a very close game, as Gage Wood threw the no-hitter for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Tell us about the atmosphere first in that place after he threw the final pitch of the game.
Yeah, well, it was crazy. I mean, everybody knew history was in the making, and I think you could just, as it was going on, nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to say anything. They were just kind of going, we know what's happening, right? Yes, everyone knew it was happening. And there's a rule, and you guys probably know this. I've talked about it, I think, on this show before. There's no cheering in the press box, right? That's a rule. It's been said so many years, but everybody in that press box, once it happened, they were like, yes, whoa, because it was such a great moment for college baseball. It wasn't that they were cheering for Arkansas. It wasn't that they were cheering, against Murray State. It was just that they were cheering for the moment. They were cheering for history being made here in Omaha. And that's special. No one will forget witnessing that if you were here, even watching it on TV back at home. Everybody who watched that game witnessed something incredibly special that doesn't happen often. I mean, it's only happened twice before. Gage, the third pitcher to throw a no-hitter here in the College World Series in the first in 65 years. So it's just an incredible feat.
How do you feel about the rule with the hits batter? If they don't attempt to move out of the way of the pitch, how do you feel about that? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, my take is that, honestly, either way, the rules are the rules, right? Yeah. You can't really do anything. I'm not the person to change them. And this is kind of even what I talked about with Gage's parents when I caught up with them. They were just, they knew the first thing that was going to come out of Gage's mouth, I shouldn't have hit him. And that's my take on it as the daughter of a college coach who coaches basketball. When I used to get mad at the rules and go, man, that's unfair. He said, that's the rules, right? Those are the rules. You have to abide by them. And same with Gage. He knew immediately what he had done. He was like, yep, gotta just let go of it. He still made history. He still did something incredible. And so I think kind of you just have to go, those are the rules. Do I think it could be changed? Absolutely. Am I the one who's going to make that decision? No. So I still think you got to have to laugh at the moment a little bit that he was this close to perfection, right? He was this close to doing that, but still people will talk about that as the no-hitter for years and years and years to come.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, it just being the third one in College World Series history. And I loved his answer to the reporter after the performance. And he was just, the only thing he could say was, I shouldn't have hit that batter. But great stuff. Almost a perfect game. Not quite. But you've been following Gage closely now for 2 years. Tell us about the man they used to call Fathead.
Fathead, that is what they used to call him. He was a little chubby back then, won't lie. Not these days, though. He's on that, tight regimen that they have him on at Arkansas with the nutrition program. But yeah, I got to go to his hometown of Batesville, and for anybody who's listening that doesn't know, where that is or where in Arkansas that would even be located, very, very, very small town. Think a couple of traffic lights, right? A couple of restaurants. Everybody in the town knows everybody. And 2 years ago, he was coming on the scene here at Arkansas. I kind of knew that he was special because in his freshman year, he pitched incredibly for the team as well. But I just wanted to go and I wanted to find out more about him because originally he was committed to Kansas State. And he wasn't actually being pursued by Arkansas. There were a lot of people that told Gage from a young age that he was never going to go D1, that he was never going to pitch at the College World Series, let alone pitch at any program because he wasn't good enough, right? And he said, no, I'm not going to let it happen. I am good enough. I am good enough to do that. I am good enough to go pitch at Arkansas. And he's been following the Razorbacks since he was young. You know, I have a picture that his mom sent me of him outside Razorback Stadium with a Darren McFadden jersey on. And he just loved the Razorbacks through and through. And so when the Razorbacks finally did offer him, it was a no-brainer. He said, sorry, Kansas State, I got to go. This is my dream school. And so you talk about in a world with NIL, the transfer portal, this is a guy that could have left before this season and go made, millions of dollars in the MLB. He wanted to come back. He wanted to do another year. And for those of you who also don't know, Gage Wood was hurt a lot of this season. And again, he could have just threw the towel in and said, nah, not coming back, not going to risk it, going to go make my money in the pros. But he did. He wanted to do it for his team. He wanted to be here on this stage for his team. He's a good guy through and through. I can't say that enough about him, that he having this moment, it's so deserved for him.
Great stuff. I love that. Great story. And you can also go check out Courtney Mims on Twitter or on X, and you could read that story that she did on Gage Wood. She posted that I think posted it within the last 24 hours or so. But Courtney, we did get a listener text in. They want to know if you have been helping Arkansas in the Jello Shot Challenge.
That's a great question. I love whoever asked that. I went over and did a story on the Jello Shot Challenge my first day here. And I won't lie to you guys, Coastal Carolina was on the board early and first for the Jello Shot Challenge. And I said, no, we got to change that. Can we get a couple of shots here? Come on. And the manager, Pat, over at Rocco said, yeah, we can throw a couple shots on the board for Arkansas. So we did. We did a couple of honorary first shots for the Hogs. So, yes, I have helped them out. My managers aren't listening to this, right? No, nobody? No? Right? They're not listening.
Not on not on 104.3 FM directly, I don't think so.
Hey, it's good. If my old manager is listening, if my old news director is listening, Tom Lewis, he'd be proud of me for that. Don't worry.
There you go. Courtney, what's the best food that you've had at Omaha?
Ooh, a steak. I mean, that's the answer, right? Because, the Omaha steaks, they're a national brand, but we went to a steakhouse here, and I'm telling you, it was melt in your mouth perfect. It was huge. I got I can't remember which cut I ordered, but it was it took up the whole plate. And I said, I can't eat all of this. They go, you're going to. And I won't lie to you guys. I'm not a huge, I'm a little girl, and I ate the entire thing. So everyone was very happy for me and ecstatic that the steak was that good. I could not leave a single bite on the plate.
Ooh, there you go. And then wash it down with another Jello shot later. Courtney, last one. I know that you're up against a break. You got to do something. You've got some other work to attend to. Arkansas taking on UCLA tonight. What are the keys for your Razorbacks?
Well, you might notice that in their first game against LSU, they only scored one run. Mm-hmm. You might notice that against Murray State, Gage Wood did a great job, but they only scored 3 runs. Their offense needs to get going. That is huge. Their approach at the plate this postseason has been swing for the fences. Well, we all know that with this ballpark, you can't have that approach. Small ball will win you games. And Arkansas just hasn't really figured that out here in the postseason. They have hit a lot of home runs. They lead the nation. They were for a while leading the nation in home runs, top 10 at least. And so they have got to kind of go at their approach at the plate, change it a little bit to, hey, we can score in so many different ways. Let's get some doubles. Let's get some singles. Let's get some base hits. And they've been able to get guys on base. They just haven't been able to score them. And so that's what I'm looking for in this game against UCLA tonight, is to get those bats going, but not only just get hits, just be able to drive runners in. That is so important, because you're not going to go win a championship only putting 1, 2, 3 runs up on the scoreboard.
I agree wholeheartedly. I did have Arkansas pegged to win the whole shebang once we got to the final 8. Actually, really above once we got into the Super Regionals. That's who I was riding with, the kids from Fayetteville there. So still rooting for them, and we hope the best for you tonight. Be safe up there in Omaha and continue with the great work, Courtney.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, guys. I appreciate y'all.
Courtney Mims, ladies and gentlemen, doing a great job up there. I mean, how cool is that? When it would be cool if she was just a member of the press up there in the press box at Charles Schwab Field for a no-hitter of any of the teams in the College World Series. Yeah. The fact that the player came from or was pitching for your team, man, that is so cool. Because when I was chatting with her, I didn't know that she was up there. And I asked that question. I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool. Wish that she didn't have to run, but we'll talk more Arkansas Razorbacks with Courtney Mims here in the future. You been watching any college baseball, any College World Series?
Not much, no.
That's okay.
I mean, it's on right now.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I haven't watched as much over the last weekend as what I wanted to, but there's still some great games going on, and here we are in the World Series tonight, really. So we got Louisville, Oregon State right now, and they are up 3 in the bottom of the 8th. Louisville is, and then tonight, Arkansas and UCLA. That should be a heck of a game. As she mentioned, she brought up a good point, though. I think we're overlooking the fact that Arkansas's offense has been a little cold. I mean, yeah, cold to the extent, lackluster for sure, but cold to what we've seen them to this point. And they had a great pitching performance yesterday. Obviously, no-hitter, only the 3rd in College World Series history, but they are going to need the bats to step up tonight. Now, UCLA seems to be more of a team. Can they score runs on you? Absolutely, but they seem to be a team that once they get the lead on you, they kind of just suppress you with their pitching. So we'll have to see about that tonight. Arkansas, UCLA. All right, was there anything from minicamp or anything in the NFL? Has anything stood out to you?
I mean, outside of the shenanigans going on in Cincinnati, right? Like that's
Which I guess the shenanigans are getting a little less.
Shenanigans.
Maybe they're ananigans right now, maybe not shenanigans.
And I think if it was just the Shamar Stewart stuff or just the Trey Hendrickson stuff,
right,
it doesn't look as bad. But the fact that it's both happening at the same time at the same position just makes that whole thing. And I kind of heard I had ESPN radio turned on in the car this morning when I was leaving, and they were talking about how you got the Cowboys with the Micah Parsons stuff. You got the Bengals with all that going on.
Dolphins. They got Johnny Smith.
And they had one other team they mentioned specifically. I can't remember who it was, but it was like those 3 teams. Those 3 teams won't be relevant come
Terry McLaurin.
No, it was
because Terry McLaurin is one of those. You got the Steelers with T.J. Watt.
Maybe it was the Steelers and TJ Watt, but they were talking about how teams that allow these kind of issues to blow up and be a distraction, they're never relevant come playoff time.
I've been saying that for years,
and it's just because typically that's a sign of a poorly run, at least in the moment,
bad front office.
I mean, it's you can even look back at what happened with the Niners last year. They were all Debo, Ayuk, and then what happens to the Niners. Granted, it had nothing to do with those, but it does seem like a weird correlation. I don't know if it's a causation or if it's just
you go all the way back to when I'm an Eagle fan, man, with T.O., man, after the Super Bowl that next season, dude, doing sit-ups in his driveway with Drew Rosenhaus and stuff,
Yeah, they had a really good. I can't remember. I don't know what show it was. It was on at 6:30 this morning or whatever on
Sportsmanlike, I believe.
And they were just talking about you can just go ahead and ignore all those 3 teams come January because they won't be relevant.
Yeah,
most of the big teams, you don't typically see this kind of stuff for the most part.
So that means if we're looking at it like that if it's the Steelers and the Bengals, that's 2 teams out of a division that won't be relevant.
So I already say the Ravens are guaranteed to win that division because the Browns aren't going to.
Right. So instead of me saying that those 3 teams will be irrelevant, I think that it's not. It doesn't. No.
I think they meant more like a Super Bowl.
Yeah. No. I'm with you. Right, and I agree. But what I would like to say is that it's not necessarily as what you were getting at. It's not a cause.
Yeah.
Just because that happens doesn't mean that your season is up in arms at that point. But it's normally the writing on the wall. Yes, not only is the organization they're not making sound decisions. I think that's what that shows, right? Is they're not making sound decisions because you can't even figure out now some of the times it could be on the player, but let's say it's on the organization side. Now, with the one with the Bengals and really the Steelers with TJ Watt, right? And the Cowboys with Micah Parsons. All of these guys you would never tell them this, but you don't want to play without them.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You want these guys on the field, so you want to
Especially
maybe
Parsons,
not bend
as
the knee.
young as he is. Like Watts has some injuries. He's 30 now, which in football years is a little up there.
Right.
But Parsons, and they were talking about how like, man, if they had signed him after Bosa did his deal, you're talking 34. So you're probably talking like 37. Now that number's going to start with a 4 more than likely.
Yeah,
the Miles Garrett deal.
starting at $40 million.
And it's just like, man, you're going to be. I mean, you're costing yourself $6, $7, $8 million a year probably.
Okay, and really, all 3 of those guys the same position, right?
Yeah.
So whichever one goes first, the next one's going to get more. The next one's going to get more than that. I mean, it's
Trey Hendrickson's probably not, because the Bengals aren't going to pay him that much. Like they're just notoriously. I mean, they even had the issue earlier with Chase and T. Higgins. They had the T. Higgins issue last year, started this offseason. So like I said, part of the problem for the Bengals is like it's just a tradition of them being a notoriously cheap franchise, and it's just another kind of chapter in that book, and that's not helping their cause at all.
Which one? Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, nothing. I was just
well, which one hurts? Which one not getting a contract extension done, or getting an easement, or ironing the wrinkles out? Which one of those hurts their team more? Is it T.J. Watt with the Aaron Rodgers? Is it Micah Parsons with the Cowboys? Is it Trey Hendrickson with the Bengals?
I think you could argue it's Trey Hendrickson with the Bengals, because like we know what Joe Burrow can do. We know those wide receivers. Like the offense has done well. The defense was a struggle last year. Now you had Sam Hubbard that retired this year. Now you have Trey Hendrickson not practicing. So like you have the talent on the offensive side of the ball to be a legit contender. But now you're not doing anything to complement it. So you may start losing games 42-45 because you can't do anything.
That's what they were doing last year.
Exactly. And now you're making it worse because he's your best defensive player. Which I don't think anybody, even with Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if we're going to sit here and say like we believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are a legitimate Super Bowl.
I think I believe more in Joe Hendrickson.
I don't think anybody's going to sit here, especially K-Man Rick, and say the Cowboys are definitely a Super Bowl. But like, and I'm not saying the Bengals are, but they've Joe Burrow has made that run with Zach Taylor. Like they've shown they can get to the AFC Championship game the next year again.
Of the 3, they're the most viable option.
Yeah, if I had to bet on one of those 3 teams to win the Super Bowl, it would probably be the Bengals of those 3. Yeah. Not that I feel great about that bet, but that would be the one I would choose out of those 3. Yeah. And so, like now you're still, and again, it's the problem for them is now it's a continuation. T. Higgins and then Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and then now you're getting to the Evan Stewart and Shamar Stewart, and it's just not a great look for a franchise that. I guess we shouldn't be surprised because they told us who they are for their entire existence.
Yeah,
basically.
well, like the Tigers, man, they're staying true to their stripes, right?
Yeah, they're not. The Bengal can't change his stripes, I guess. And here we go. We're seeing that in picture perfect 4K HD TV over here. So,
there you go. All right, which direction do we want to head in next?
I got a question. This came up yesterday. We were talking about this. Maybe they were watching basketball. Going back to the Green Bay Packers and the tush push, I want to get Tyler's take on this. So the one team that had a problem with it that decides to, like how I put it to our friend Terry yesterday, put in the suggestion box, if you will, for the NFL to get rid of the tush push, the brotherly shove. And the one team that mentions that, brings it up, is the Green Bay Packers. Kind of funny, though. Green Bay Packers aren't owned by one person. It's a conglomerate. It's a collective, right? So whose decision was that? I guess they got to have like a board of like trustees or like somebody that makes the big decisions. That that's talked about with like the underlings, the people that live in Green Bay that technically own the team. So where does that come from? Like Jeffrey Lurie. This is the other thing I was saying too. Like the speech he made for like an hour. When they were doing that, totally like gratuitous. Didn't even need to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like made us look like clowns. Actually, like if they didn't pass it and it got taken out where you couldn't do the tush push no more, I could see them making that soliloquy for like an hour, talking about it. But whose idea? Where does that come up with? And did the Green Bay fan base whatever vote on that? Yeah, it's a good idea. Let's try to throw the Eagles under the bus.
So what I'm reading here is that while the team's proposal didn't specify who specifically suggested the ban, Packers president Mark Murphy publicly stated his disapproval of the play, calling it bad for the game. So maybe it was the president who said it, then a board or something, and said, all right, let's go after them Eagles.
So it's funny. I had the same thought like 3 months ago when this first got talked about how the Packers wanted it voted on. And I was like, it kind of makes sense for the Packers because they don't have an owner. Like the other owners aren't going to get mad at the non-owner.
Not one person single out and point the finger at it.
Yeah, but also it's saying that Mark Murphy is set to retire in July. So this is kind of like he
was a scapegoat.
Exactly. It could have been multiple teams like texting him like, "Hey, we know you're retiring. you be the guy to throw it out there so we can all vote on this. And I mean, it came close. It was within 2 votes of passing, right?
Yeah,
like,
it was very close.
He needed 75%. I think it was like 70%.
Yeah,
it was like 14 out of 16. I think.
Yeah, you could thank the Titans.
It was a pretty tight vote. Like it was very close.
So
it was what 22,
I think. 22 voted yes.
22 and 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like, and if he's legitimately retiring in July, like there's not an owner for them to get mad at. It's going to be a new president.
Oh,
so
not like next July, like this July.
In like 2 weeks.
So he's basically just.
So it was kind of like
it was his last way out the door.
So maybe like the Redskins, maybe the Commanders, maybe the whoever's texting these guys, like, hey, do us a favor, throw this out there so we can vote.
Maybe he got a bunch of money. Maybe a bunch of teams like threw him a bag and they were like, hey, we'll pitch in and like we'll have you be the guy.
So it worked out well. He was a kind of the faceless guy of this thing, and he's going to be gone, and nobody's going to be able to blame him. I mean, Eagles fans will still blame the Packers.
I just thought that was kind of odd. The one team, you know what I'm saying?
It is. No, I had the same thought 2 months ago when it first came up because it is kind of weird. Like not weird, but it is.
And like I said, too, man, I really hope that we just shove that ball down their damn throat every single play and just say, you guys, you want to try to take this away? We're going to embarrass you on Monday night.
13 times.
We're going to embarrass the hell out of you and make you look like the fools you are on national television.
Get to midfield and just like
every second and 2 tush push. Like even situations they wouldn't normally use it, just use it to use it. Like.
Or just get up by like 3 or 4 scores in just every play and just keep see how many plays consecutively you can run that and still move the ball.
Or a variation. Like I would love to see first down, all right, from your own 49-yard line, right? All right, so first down, tush push, just normal. Then second down is a variation, a fake of it. Maybe Jalen fake dives, and then just like stands up. Oh my gosh, like
just do so. Like I'm just saying, just make a mockery of it, dude. Is what I want to see. Not to the point where they really want to get rid of it, but make a statement.
Mark Murphy has to retire. It's something in the bylaws that he can't hold his position anymore.
Huh. Maybe he does have
so many terms or something, like because again, if Green Bay, the way they do their thing, maybe it's got something to do with that. Maybe you got to get elected.
Well, it said he was only formally elected a year ago, so maybe you can only. I feel like a year change, like turnover.
Like, you wouldn't be able to do enough in that year's time.
That seems like a terrible policy if that's what it is.
Oh, you want mandatory retirement age of 70.
Oh, okay. So why did they elect him? Like, what was the point?
What's the point if you do 69 or 68 and a half?
So that they can eliminate the tush push.
That's just more shenanigans from Green Bay. What a bunch of dopes.
He's been the president and CEO since 2007 of the Packers. So.
Maybe not so dopey, but still.
And then they already know. How about this name? I didn't even know this was someone's name. Ed Policy. Ed Policy is the next president for the Green Bay Packers.
Hey, what a heck of a name.
Yeah,
Policy.
What kind of policy are you going to try to implement?
Mr. Policy, can we get your...
I thought that... Well, at first I'm like, ED policy. Like, what is that? Like, do the...
Erectile dysfunction policy.
They're not erecting enough banners around there.
Well, I mean, they have been for a while.
They have been quite a while since, what was it, 97?
No, Aaron Rodgers.
My bad.
09? 08?
Yeah, I forgot Mike McCarthy. My bad.
Yeah, because I want to say, I was still in high school, and Lil Wayne came out with the green and yellow, because Wiz had the black and yellow song.
Didn't make that much of an impression on me, obviously.
Was that the Super Bowl?
Yeah, like that went in the Super Bowl.
Was it Steelers? Is that who they...
Yeah. It was the Steelers, and now Aaron Rodgers is a
Steeler.
Wow.
Life comes full circle.
Life comes at you fast, too. Makes you feel a little old at times, too.
Should have went to the Vikings.
Oh, man, that would have completed the story.
Full circle.
It would have completed the story. It would have been so fun. It would have been, now, you can't use this analogy perfectly, but it would take me to Texas, right, with Arch Manning. Obviously, the reason... Arch Manning has the name, and that's why he's in waiting, right? But how funny would that be? Aaron Rodgers goes to the Vikings, and it's like J.J. McCarthy, another year, he'll be waiting, waiting in the wings a little bit. So he'd be the Arch Manning of the Minnesota Vikings without the name. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout. When we get back, we'll play a little bit of trivia and maybe some time for some buyer bill if we didn't ask these questions last week. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
After picking up series wins against the Brewers and the Rockies, the Atlanta Braves look to keep the momentum going versus the division-leading New York Mets.
Swing and a ball belted left field. Beck got a late job tracing it to the wall. It's gone! 3-run home run to the Braves, and they're
First lead of the night.
Tonight, we'll have live coverage from Truist Park coming up at 6.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Tuesday's weather forecast. A possibility of thunderstorms and mostly sunny the rest of the day with temps near 86 and a wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies tonight and a temperature of 80. About the same tomorrow, around 86 with a variety of some sun and a possibility of thunderstorms. Partly sunny and likely thunderstorms Thursday and very warm around 86. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
MLB is incoming, and you won't miss a game. Introducing Scorpion TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN+, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch 400 local network channels from Panama City and most major markets. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Just $45 a month with our promo code ESPNNW. Go to ESPNPC.com and click the Scorpion TV logo.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. Eat, sleep, game. This is your sports obsession. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're in the doghouse riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is the CBC Construction Studios. You can visit them at cbcconstruction.com or call them at 850-747-3815. Thanks for nominating the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and the Coach Hale Morning Show as your favorite radio show in the Best of Bay from the News Herald. To keep your radio fun and positive in Panama City, Lynn Haven, PCB, 30A, and across Bay County, go to ESPNPC.com and vote Ryan Mulvey or Coach James Hill for Best Radio Personality in the Best of Bay. And thanks for listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Louisville and Oregon State in the top of the ninth. It is 6-4. Oregon State's got a man on second. There's a 2-0 count, and it looks like they're making the call to the bullpen. So a close game there in Omaha.
They won't play the bottom of the ninth, right, if Oregon State doesn't score?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, if Oregon State doesn't tie it up, then they won't play the bottom of the ninth.
Gotcha. I thought I knew the rule. I just got double check myself every now and then.
Got to get the clarification on that. Our trivia question today, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing. Only 2 players in baseball history have more than 600 home runs, 600 doubles, and 3,000 hits. One of these fellows, by the skin of his teeth, got to 600 home runs. Only 2 baseball players in baseball history has more than 600 home runs, 600 doubles, and 3,000 hits. Call in now to the Red 7T line, 850-215-6290. We've got 12-pack of Buffalo Rock for you, $25 to not the, but that boot store, and we'll add in 2 passes to Kingdom Splash Fest. Have you tried out Kingdom Splash Fest?
I have not. I've driven by it. Looks pretty neat. I kind of wonder the logistics of it, keeping all that stuff blown up. Yeah, there's got to be some kind of electricity running to that. So I'm curious how that whole thing works. I mean, I'm sure.
I don't think anyone's been harmed in the making of that. Of the fun around there.
I'm just more curious of the logistics.
They keep the fans that blow that stuff up on land with the power, and then the air is just going through through the water.
Okay, that makes more sense. There we go.
What question?
I'm sure.
Crisis averted. Question answered.
I'm speculating, but
that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I just don't know. I don't know how to a certain point of having to blow through that much too, if it would kill some of the air pressure. I mean, I'm assuming
I think if you let's water pressure, air pressure, you start with a smaller tube, you build up the air pressure. You get what I'm saying? The PSI. So probably something to do with that.
Caveman.
But you probably I work in the automobile business as well. So you got vacuum lines, you got compression, you got stuff like that. I don't fix the cars, I deal in parts, but you're around it enough,
engineer Rick over
You
here.
pick up stuff through osmosis, man, without even trying sometimes, you know.
Osmosis. Hiller Plumbing, that's who the sponsor is of our trivia question. Our confident service technicians will provide you with the solution for any home plumbing, heating, or cooling problem. Let us show you how we can make you a happy Hiller customer. You can contact your trusted licensed technician in Panama City today. Just visit happyhiller.com and tell them that you heard about them on ESPN Northwest Florida. I just seeing this, the Phillies are going to be benching Nick Castellanos tonight for an inappropriate comment made.
Really? I didn't hear about it.
I am looking at it right now, just now pulling up the story behind it. So from the Philadelphia Inquirer, one of the many things about Nick that I love is that he's very emotional. That's from the manager, Rob Thompson. He loves to play, and he loves to play every inning of every game. I just thought last night he made an inappropriate comment after he came out, and so today he's not going to play, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I guess we're not going to be able to find out what.
Oh, we're going to find out sooner than later.
Yeah,
we're going to find out here in a little while.
Eventually. Let's see. Cassiano says, I wasn't happy about it, spoke my mind. He said that I crossed the line, so his punishment is he's not playing. So don't really know. I guess it was... So he was removed from last night's game in the 8th inning for defensive purposes. So maybe he just...
he was ticked.
Yeah.
You know, probably something like that. So, yeah, I got you, man.
Well, manager's going to manage.
Yeah, and players got to want to play, you know what I'm saying? But at least he's not like some players that just want to sit on the bench and not play. He wants to be out there.
I would rather my guy gripe because he's not playing than gripe about playing.
I like the fact that here's the Phillies staying, keeping it classy, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just...
Keeping it classy. Those are two words that
I'm serious. Come on, man. I'm serious, though. I'm serious, though. Like, you know, you do something like this, and you know what? Regardless of the situation, we'll sit you down. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of teams wouldn't do that. We're worried about wins and stuff. We do have the luxury right now that, you know, we can probably maybe give up a win or two, technically, if you will. But still, man, like, you know... Gotta get some props to that because a lot of teams or whatever probably just turn their head at some stuff like that and not say nothing.
The fans don't always have class, but the organizations.
They got class, man. Like they are first class, like ball busters, man.
Yeah, that's
class holes.
That is like like you want to get a master class on talking smack and talking junk like by fans. You go to.
I'd love to go to games.
Oh, you know what, too, man? This is the other thing, too. So, like, yeah, because, I think it's a ridiculous idea they're doing this again, NHL. What the hell are y'all doing? But, like, I've seen more stuff again about, like, basically Atlanta get another hockey team. Like, they basically approved, like, a new building and all this garbage. Dude, that's just great, because it just means cheap-ass Flyers tickets to go up there and watch the Flyers just kick the snot out of damn Atlanta, whatever the hell they want to call them.
Do they revise the Thrashers, or do they have to do some...
No,
Thrashing Flames?
They were the Thrashers before they were the
Flames originally, and then they, left, and then they went to Calgary because... Atlanta stinks for hockey. Nobody cares. And then they got the Thrashers back in, what was it, like 02 or something like that? 01 or whatever it was. And
it was after I started following hockey because the Thrashers
or whatever, 11 years they were there. They even had like people like Chris Chelios on that team for a short while. Didn't do nothing.
And they had Ilya Kovalchuk.
Yeah, I got an autographed puck from Ilya Kovalchuk.
Yeah. Third time's the charm, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
See? Come on, man. Third time is like, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Third time, NHL, seriously? You're really going to wear, like, egg on your face like that? Come on, man.
I like it.
And then, like, what happens, too? Like, after, like 10, 12 years, they move, and then where do they go? Like, Quebec City now, and we get the Nordiques again. Because, like, okay, so the first team left and went to Calgary. The Thrashers left. They're the Winnipeg Jets now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to go to Canada.
They turn them into successful franchises when they go somewhere else.
Yeah, and both of them went to Canada.
Yeah.
So that just means there's going to be another Canadian hockey team in about another 12 to 15 years. Once the Atlanta, whatever they want to call themselves, losers leave.
The Atlanta Temporaries.
Placeholders.
The Atlanta Hockey Club, right?
Yeah, the AAT. There you go. Sponsored by the AJC.
Sorry for that rant, but yeah, man, I just saw that again, and I'm like, seriously, what are y'all doing?
I get wanting to make it a thing because Atlanta is probably a great city for major events because they have the infrastructure to handle it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like, quit trying to force it. It's not working.
Certain cities. Okay, you got St. Louis. Okay, so they're a hockey town and they're a baseball town. They tried football twice.
Yeah.
It didn't work, okay? They tried the Cardinals originally.
Was that it didn't work, or was it because of Stan Kroenke that it didn't work?
Well, it might have been that, too. But again, too, like, if you're not getting them, like, they had a, facility and stuff. But if you're not going to, do what they want them to do, I guess, they can leave.
I just tilted my head to the right, and bases juiced right now for Oregon State here in the top of the ninth inning.
Why do that to a fan base? Why do that to fans? Like,
they don't.
Like if NBA, like if there was a chance that Seattle was to get a team again, and then they were to leave again, like why get like a fan base like loving a sports franchise, get him, follow it, backing him, and all that, just to move? That's just so dumb.
The Atlanta Stepping Stones. That is, we just got that texted in from Redbeard. I love that one. I get you though, man. That's a great point. Why bring something just to take it away? What'd you say?
Try a different market you haven't been in yet.
Like Alabama.
All tied up.
Oh, with an error, so it's not even a base hit. We've got a tie ball game, 6 apiece. So, yes, we will be going to the bottom of the ninth inning here in Omaha. 6-6 is the score after an error. We did not see the play, so I'm not sure what the error was. Our trivia question for today, only 2 players in baseball history has more than 600 home runs, 600 doubles, and 3,000 hits. For your chance to win a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, $25 to not the but that boot store, and 2 passes to the Kingdom Splash Fest. Call in now to the Red 7T phone line, 850-215-6290.
I got to go ahead. You guys.
No.
I was going to say I got a baseball question.
Okay.
So watching the replay, it looks like the shortstop missed the ground ball here, trying to field it and throw it. But I saw him still kind of follow through with it, almost like a play action.
Yeah.
Do they do that just to try to freeze the runners?
No, it's because you're so daggum mad it's just you're so daggum mad when that ball did it just go between his legs?
No, he was like reaching down for it and kind of went right outside his glove. Like he just just missed it with his glove.
In his mind, he's still making the play, but he's so ticked off, and so I think that it's one of those things where you're letting your frustration go, but you're not doing it in a way that seems negative towards the game.
So it wasn't like he's trying to fool the runner into stopping because he's
here's what I will say. With the bases being loaded, yes.
Yeah.
He could have maybe had the runner on third base, hold up, make him hesitate because now but if the bases are loaded and the ball's on the ground, you're going anyways.
Yeah.
You're running on the crack of the bat right there. So no, I don't think that I think honestly I just
didn't know if he was just trying to carry out the play fake, for lack of a better. I was curious because obviously I don't watch a ton of baseball.
I think it's just like immediate so in baseball we're taught, when you make an error, it's on to the next play. So maybe he didn't even want to wait till the next play to get to the next play. Just like go ahead and finish your job, right? Pretend to make a throw right there. But I know that that's definitely, especially if you're playing that position.
Because it kind of looked like he knew he didn't have it. So it's not like he thought he grabbed it and realized he didn't. It looked like it was pretty obvious he didn't have it. So I just didn't know. Yeah, I was just curious.
I mean, I don't think it's not necessarily a common thing. I guess
that was also part of it.
Yeah. But it's also one of those things. I think if infielder, specifically shortstop or second base, they miss one like that. Yeah, and that's one of the funnest things of being a defender is making that throw over there to first base. Or they was probably going to roll.
He would probably go to second.
Right,
he was right in between. It went right in between second and third.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, it is time for us to get to hour number 2, and we're going to get into our SEC preview for 4 teams coming up here with our college football prognosticator Tyler Bishop. Call or text us 850-215-6290. That's the Red 7T phone line.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Tuesday's weather forecast. A possibility of thunderstorms and mostly sunny the rest of the day with temps near 86 and a wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies tonight and a temperature of 80. About the same tomorrow, around 86 with a variety of some sun and a possibility of thunderstorms. Partly sunny and likely thunderstorms Thursday and very warm around 86. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Great 4th of July mattress savings going on now at the Sleep Center. Stop by the Sleep Center today and you can save up to $600 on select Stearns & Foster adjustable mattress sets. Stearns & Foster, made in the USA.
Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
Celebrate the 4th of July now at Krispy Kreme Donuts with the Stars, Stripes, and Sweetness Donuts 4th of July collection. Krispy Kreme Donuts in front of HCA Hospital, 23rd Street, Panama City, and the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan. The 4th of July Stars, Stripes, and Sweetness collection. Available now only at Krispy Kreme Donuts since 1937. Krispy Kreme Donuts, where you get 'em hot.
Great 4th of July mattress savings going on now at the Sleep Center. Stop by the Sleep Center today and you can save up to $600 on select Stearns & Foster adjustable mattress sets. Stearns & Foster, made in the USA.
Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. He doesn't live paycheck to paycheck. He lives transaction to transaction. I need about 350. David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
If you would like to help me get back to living paycheck to paycheck, advertise or sponsor us here on the Afternoon Underdogs, do that by texting me on the Red 7T phone line, 850-215-6290. Let's build a segment around your brand. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick. We are the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're your spot for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. The Atlanta Braves hosting the New York Mets tonight. Coverage starting after the Afternoon Underdogs at 6 o'clock. First pitch tonight, 6:15. Spencer Schwellenbach going for the Bravos. He'll be going up against the Mets' David Peterson. Real quick, Caveman Rick, last night Ohtani back on the bump for the Dodgers. Any thoughts at all about his one inning of performance last night?
Like last night, I thought it was kind of dumb them starting him just for one inning. I think it would probably been better suited coming in like as a reliever someplace else. You could have picked his spot like against a particular set of like 3 or 4 batters coming up in an order, you know. I get it because he's typically a starting pitcher when he does pitch to kind of get that feel again.
Right.
But to throw him out there, and if you were only planning on throwing him out there for probably an inning, like I know you have bullpen games basically essentially, but you just essentially gave yourself another bullpen game. And I don't think you go into games wanting to throw out your bullpen guys. You want to have like a good quality starter most times you start a game. So I just thought it was a little odd. He did throw, I think, what was it, like 16 strikes or something like that.
28 pitches, 16 strikes, yeah.
So, good amount of strikes, no strikeouts though. So I guess you could say it's a fair start, for him, being one inning worth of work. But I just thought it was, like I said, a little odd, and I guess see what, maybe after he gets this one inning down, maybe see how much more he can go. One inning's real small sample size, though,
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he was hitting those numbers on the radar gun, I think bodes well, like the arm's live. And Dave Roberts said, like, he would have rather seen him, hitting 96, 97. But when you got 100 in the tank, might as well go ahead and use it there. Now, I know that you put in some parlays on this game. Did you do anything? Were there any bets available for Shohei hitting-wise? Because he did enter in as a designated hitter after this and went 2 for 4.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, you could get hits, home runs, or whatever with him too if you wanted.
And struck out twice, but he also drove in a couple of runs.
I didn't pick him up on my parlay though that I won on, but just because of that,
you went against him on your parlay. Is what you did.
I didn't bet for or against. I just didn't have him involved in it.
Yeah,
I was neutral.
There you go. He went with Switzerland.
Other Dodgers that I thought were more likely to get a hit that haven't got one. Like I think Teoscar Hernandez was one that didn't get one the game before. So I picked him along with a couple other guys.
All right, well, we're going to dive into, or it's kind of starting our SEC preview. So what we do is as we get about 5 weeks out from the season, we go through each conference and we do a win-loss for each team in the conference. But what we're going to do before that, leading into that this year, is kind of go through each SEC team. We're going to do 4 teams for the next 4 weeks. If you're listening right now, and this is for us to kind of get to know our listenership and know what teams, you guys are out there rooting for. If we're not talking about an SEC team, what team out there are you rooting for? And we'll compile those and we'll do a preview of those as we get closer to the season as well. But we will be doing win-loss previews for every team as we get closer to the season. So the 4 teams that we're previewing today are going to be Texas, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. Texas, starting off with them, talk of the town, Arch Manning, Heisman hype right there. Steve Sarkisian, the job he's done building that, but is he plateauing out over there?
I saw an X post today from one of the ESPN guys talking about how Texas is set up to be a dynasty over the next couple of years, and let's let them win something first before we start calling. I mean, I know that was Rick's favorite thing last week was a dynasty.
Yeah, so you need to win more than a couple to be a dynasty.
I know Rick's his standard for dynasty is more extreme than others, but don't they need to win at least one national championship?
You gotta win.
You got to start somewhere.
The bare minimum, all right. And again, his Caveman Rick's prerequisites do not necessarily represent what a dynasty is for everyone, right? Because it's an objective opinion. His set list is very stringent. For me, bare minimum, you've got to win one and appear in the very next one. You've got to at least that to start the conversation of a dynasty.
This goes back to what I was talking about all along last week about it just being gratuitous and people just being overzealous when they use these grandiose terms. They haven't won nothing yet, and you still want to use these words.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So, I mean, obviously, that's but the thing, if you're Texas, Sarkisian, and Arch Manning, that's where the expectation is.
Yeah.
Sarkisian is expected to Texas is preseason number 1 right now. Mm-hmm. We talked about the ESPN FPI last week. Arch Manning has the Manning last name. I mean, he's been considered the next best thing since he was, a sophomore in high school?
Yeah, right,
I mean,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And now there's all this expectation for a team and program and head coach and quarterback that have not really done. I mean, they won the Big 12 and they won a couple playoff games last year, but they haven't won anything of major significance yet. And why are we heaping this praise on them?
It's setting itself up now for them to fail miserably, because you said the bar is going to be set so high now that anything less than a national championship is going to be considered a failure.
I mean, for the most part, if we were sitting here right now, if you said that they don't make the, it's kind of what we were talking about with Ohio State and Ryan Day last year, right?
Yeah,
going into the season, anything outside of making the national championship game, and we were talking about him maybe getting fired, and obviously, the season worked out the way it did, and they made it and won it, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's that's kind of the point we're getting to with Sarkisian here. It's not from a lack of funds. It's not from a lack of NIL. It's not from a lack of talent. So if he doesn't at least make the Final Four,
but they made the Final Four last year.
No, they did.
So you make Final Four back-to-back years. I think
that'd be
that
the third straight year too, because they made it the last year, the 4 team.
Yeah, because they lost.
Sooner or later, they're going to be you got to do better than the Final Four, Sark.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, but I feel that's just bare minimum expectation going in the year, y'all, especially with Arch Manning, especially
now if Arch Manning goes down week 7, week 8, no chance for him to come back. Does that alleviates the hype?
Obviously,
or not alleviates the hype, alleviates the heat.
It definitely
off the
takes
seat.
some stress off, for sure. Same thing for Ryan Day, if Will Howard gone down or whatever, or the running backs gotten hurt, or Jeremiah Smith goes down. There's definitely extenuating circumstance, but you're assuming in a normal season without a catastrophic injury, you're just piling all this pressure. And the thing is, Arch Manning
has enough pressure as it is.
I was about to say, he may be uniquely qualified to handle this because he's been dealing with this pressure for years already.
Yeah, and even before him being,
just who
even before a sophomore, right? Yeah. Exactly. When he's playing youth football, right? When he's playing youth football, the coaches are, whenever it's time to pick the players and whatnot, everyone's give me Manning.
But they've got a lot of talent. They brought, their defense was decimated by graduation in the draft. They brought in a lot of defensive linemen in the portal. Brought in 4 guys. There for some from D1 schools, Maryland, Syracuse, North Carolina, Ohio State. Even brought in a big time guy, Justice Terry, who was he was one of those guys who was majorly recruited as like an 8th grader.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that's always been freakishly big for his size. So it's interesting to see how he is against guys who are all freakishly sized. I mean, I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I think he's going to be a great prospect, but maybe one of those guys that needs to learn how to play with technique a little bit better. But Texas was a team that was carried by their defense last year.
Yeah.
It wasn't the offense. It wasn't Quinn Ewers. It wasn't, even with a first-round wide receiver, that's not who Texas was last year.
Yeah.
And so I think everybody's kind of expecting that because it's Texas, it's Sarkisian. And maybe with Arch Manning, they do play a little bit better. He does have a little bit more mobility. But can they reload that defense? Because I think they're going to need
it. You're definitely going to need it.
They're going to need it, but do they need it to be as good as last year when they were a top unit? I guess maybe the question, can their offense carry their defense, or is the defense still going to have to carry the offense?
And I think one of the other things that will save Sarkisian is kind of the same reason that maybe the Gators didn't let go of Billy Napier. First off, you've got to make the decision to get rid of your coach earlier now than you ever have before.
I don't think Sarkisian's getting fired.
Yeah, no doubt. But the other factors that who do you replace him with? Who do you replace him with? And that's the thing, is because we're kind of in this changing of arms, right? Where some of the older guys, we've already seen Nick Saban, some of these guys are going off into the sunset, and so you're having to get younger blood in there, which means that these guys are going to have to prove themselves, and that these top tier jobs sometimes are going to have immediate guys in the immediate.
Well, the thing is, if you're looking at, there's like probably 20 schools. If you can't replace your guy with Kirby Smart, are you willing to do it?
Right.
I mean, and I think that's like the realistic answer is no. You can't replace your guy with Kirby Smart because he's not leaving Georgia. So it's like, who are you replacing him with? And I think you can say that for Lane Kiffin. I think you could say that for Dan Lanning. I think you could say that for Dabo. You could say it for Ryan Day. You could say it for
sure.
Brian Kelly probably at LSU.
Oh, he's up there. He's up there.
He's probably right on the fringe.
His brand is the Brian
Freeman
Kelly
over
brand,
at Notre Dame. Even USC.
How about Shane Beamer?
I think Beamer is right outside that territory. I think there's some
Beamer might be a guy who's picked up to go somewhere else.
He could be a guy that could be close to that territory. Like if he has another great year, we've talked about this before. He's not on the sheet today, so I won't go. But can they handle the pressure? That'd be a whole different thing. We'll get to that on in 2 weeks, next week. So, but
I got to play it out. Yeah, next week.
But if you're Texas, they've got a tough schedule. They got Ohio State coming to Austin. DK Royal.
DK Royal,
But outside of that, their SEC schedule is relatively favorable. They play Georgia and Athens, but they miss Bama, they miss LSU, they miss Tennessee, they miss Ole Miss again. They miss Auburn, I think, which I'm not saying Auburn's great, but if you're talking
we don't know. Have you seen the background that they use for Freeze's recruiting?
But, Florida is one of those teams that's going to be hit or miss. Their three best SEC schools they play are probably Florida, Georgia, and Oklahoma. And that's not even a disrespect to Florida or Oklahoma, but I think it's as favorable as a draw if you're looking at how many quality teams we typically see at the SEC. And granted, nobody expected Vanderbilt to give Bama and Texas the trouble they had last year. Nobody expected Indiana to be the team. So, we're guessing and trying to prognosticate here, right?
But if
you're looking at it on paper, it's not the worst schedule from the SEC side of it.
A little break in the action. Louisville on top, or not on top, but they are up to bat. Oregon State did not get any more runs in the top of the ninth, so we're tied at 6, bottom of the ninth. Runners on first and second. No outs right now for Louisville. They are having a little bit of a conference, and so we'll see what comes of that.
It's got to be relatively pressure-free-ish for Louisville because you can't lose, right? Like worst case scenario, you're going to extra innings.
Lose right here, yeah. That's kind of always that way for the home team, and then also when you get if I'm right here with runners on first and second, I'm bunting.
Yeah, I'm
bunting because I want to get my runner from second to third base over there and then hope for a sac fly. What about you, Rick? What do you do in this situation? You want to swing the bat, huh? No fielder's choices at all.
Yeah, I don't like fielder's choices. How with those?
Rick wants to go fast. Ricky Bobby.
There you go. All right, so the biggest strength for Texas. So I kind of went through and tried to compile some stuff. The biggest strength, talent, resources, and the Arch Manning hype. Would you add anything to that?
I don't know if the Arch Manning hype is a strength.
It's almost like a double-edged sword.
For sure, because
Reese Davis here says he calls him the ultimate villain, or college football's potential ultimate villain.
Because the problem is, if you're Texas and maybe Sark knows that Arch Manning isn't ready to carry the team as a passer, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he's just not ready. So now you're coming out and you're throwing the ball 18 times a game because you think that's the best way to win a game.
Right.
And you're scoring 20 points. Why isn't Arch throwing the ball all over the field? Why is Sark holding him back? Why is he doing it? And he's not going to come out and say Arch isn't ready for it. That's not great coaching. But it's just like, I think it just sets up that there's so much hype. If he's not coming out there throwing for 400 yards a game and 3 touchdowns, and you're putting up 40 points, people are going to be asking, why not?
Yeah.
And then it's like, then they start doubting him a little. I think it's a double-edged sword. Like, I think if Arch Manning is who they think he is or who he's supposed to be, they're going to be a really tough team to beat because he's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But if he's not, now as a Texas fan, because you can't bench Arch Manning.
Yeah. No,
you can't.
You've already made
physically
that.
cannot.
Yeah.
So, like, you're stuck with a guy who maybe he is that, but if he's not, it gets real scary real quick down in Austin.
Yeah. If they were to bench him.
Could you imagine?
The outlash.
I mean, they would have to lose, 3 games probably, at least, and he'd have to play terribly?
I could see, I would see 3 games, or losing to a Power 5 team and to, I don't know who the rest, but if they were to lose.
He has to play bad in those games, too.
Like, it has to be like this, it has to be a Will Levis.
Yeah.
Like, he was the reason why we lost the game. The top concern for them, a tough early schedule and red zone consistency. Would you agree with that? And we don't have the schedules up in front of us, so that's a little bit tougher. And I think Florida and Georgia are kind of spaced out decently, and then you've got, I want to say Oklahoma is right after Florida for the Red River Shootout.
So they do have to play Florida, then the Red River Shootout back-to-back, and that's Florida in Gainesville, so that would be a tough turnaround. The Georgia game's towards the end of the season.
And you can't sleep on Florida right now.
No, especially in the swamp. Like, the way DJ Lagway play. Like, I'm not saying I'm not a believer in Florida, but like, honestly, like, outside of Ohio State, they got 3 tune-up games before Florida. Like, the schedule doesn't set up terribly.
Looks like they did what I said, man. They went for the bunt right there, and
bases loaded.
Yeah, it was an error by the pitcher, and so we've got bases loaded, no one out for Louisville. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, the biggest thing. Well, no, they got Vanderbilt in a bye week, so I can't even give them Diego Pavia shade or anything. So no, I mean it's actually a very manageable schedule, even with some of the bigger names on there. I think their top concern is can those guys they brought in along the defensive line replace what they lost? Because again, their defense was the strength of the team, and I think that's what they want to see this year again. Because I'm just not convinced Arch Manning's going to come out and put up 40 points a game right now.
It's going to be interesting, that is for sure. Just following the hype around Arch Manning, because if Arch Manning wins the Heisman and a national championship, do you think that Peyton and Eli would look at it like, oh, he's the best of us? Or do you think they would look at it like, man, I wish our teams were built up, which Peyton got to play for Tennessee, and they were coming off of a championship, right? Or won a championship.
No, they won a championship the year after you left.
Right after him. Yeah, so, and then you got Eli with Ole Miss.
They still got 2 Super Bowls. Peyton had how many NFL MVPs? Like, good
boy.
I mean, I think as a, there's that uncle-nephew thing. You're probably okay. Oh, yeah, he's the best. Because they always said that Cooper was the most athletic of the group. Mm-hmm. And it was, I'm not going to say easier to say because he couldn't prove it, but it's easier to kind of give him props because I knew injury ended his career. Mm-hmm. And so it's easier to kind of do that. And I think as an uncle, if it was Eli, I mean, we saw Eli's face when Peyton won that second Super Bowl. He hated it. Or it looked like he hated it.
Yeah. But it's so hard to read Eli though, because he always looks like, maybe not disgruntled, but just kind of like, I'll call it ref instead of RBF, resting Eli face.
But you got to figure that he's been living in Peyton's shadows for his whole life.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand how that is. No, I'm saying I can't understand that perspective. Because I'm being the older brother.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't think they'll have any certain. But I think it would be awesome to see. If he is that guy and he wins, the real question at that point is, does he play 1 year at Texas or 2? Because if he comes out and wins a Heisman national championship, is there really anywhere for him to go but just go to the NFL at that point?
That's a good point too.
Unless if he does Peyton wants to stay an extra year in college,
I could see him definitely wanting to stay.
Now with the NIL and getting the money, you're actually getting paid for being in school. It's not like before, hey, if I don't go now and I get hurt, I'm going to lose my ability to make money. And
let's be honest, he's probably one of the few collegiate athletes that can afford to, you know what I'm saying?
If he was to go out and shred his knee tomorrow and be done and can never play again, it's not like his life's going to be bad.
Yeah,
he's got
still
a pretty decent life. Yeah, I'm saying because of Uncle Eli, Uncle Peyton.
Well, his dad
Grandpa
is pretty successful as
no,
well.
I know, but I'm just saying, with the family.
Overall, he's not going to be.
The man just did pretty good.
Yeah,
they did aight.
So it's like I said, it's really going to come down to Arch. If Arch is that guy, then there probably should and will be the championship favorites. If he's not, then it could be a team that looks very similar to last year, which was a very good team, but not a team watching them week in and week out that really blows you away.
Yeah, no, there was a few games. I mean, they lost early in the season to Oregon. Well, not super early in the season, but they lose to Oregon. And
that was Ohio State.
Yeah, wait. Oh, we're talking about Texas for some. My mind at some point in there went to last season's champion. Last season's champion. Yeah. So, but I mean, same thing for Texas to an extent. Ohio State, why'd you have to win the national championship, man? Why do we got to go into this season with Ohio State being the defending champions? And every time, and they win, like 2014, going to the 4-team college football playoff, being the inaugural champs there. It's like, the toughest, this is the toughest championship that you've ever, that's ever been won.
They never won another one. So maybe they got their one out of their system.
Let's hope that it is that way. All right, we still got Mississippi State. We've still got Arkansas and Oklahoma. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, prognosticating Mississippi State when we return.
Your attention, please. ESPN Northwest Florida reminds you it's the law. It's the law. When there's a double red flag, stay out of the water, stick your toes in the sand, grab a cold drink, and listen to live sports.
Swung on, miss, strike 3.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Double play!
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low of 79 with a light breeze at 7 miles per hour coming out of the south. Tomorrow morning, a chance of thunderstorms and some sun with temps around 88. In the afternoon and evening, a likelihood of thunderstorms and some clouds and a temperature near 88. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi folks, it's Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right, she has over 20 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within a week, so don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into a new setting and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 50 years.
Hewitt Tire and Auto. Call 850-769-7323. Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com. On Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing, 850-265-1562.
Nah. We're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. 850-215-6290.
When you've completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're in the Doghouse riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 on your dial. You can call or text us at 850-215-6290 as Louisville has just crossed the plate on a sacrifice fly, and that will end the game with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Louisville on top, eliminating the Beavers of Oregon State 7-6. So now Louisville will either have to beat Coastal Carolina twice or their season is over, and they'll be playing, I believe, tomorrow afternoon. So the next College World Series baseball game is going to be UCLA and Arkansas, and the winner of that will take on LSU and try to beat them twice. But we could be looking at a Coastal Carolina LSU College World Series, provided that Coastal Carolina and LSU don't lose twice. Interesting. Really looking for or rooting for now that Oregon State's been put out. Coastal Carolina and Arkansas, that would be that would be cool. Just because Arkansas, that's a selfish reason. So picking Arkansas to win at the beginning, always like to see those come through. Braves coming up after the Afternoon Underdogs cover starting at 6. First pitch tonight, 6:15 versus the Mets. And we also encourage you to continue voting for Ryan Mulvey on the Inside Drive and the Coach James Hale Morning Show to keep your radio fun and positive in Panama City, Lynn Haven, PCB 38, and across Bay County. Go to ESPNPC.com and vote for Ryan Mulvey or Coach James Hale. Thanks for listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Time is almost up, and you can vote once a day. So do that, and also vote for Bite Me Custom Cookies. Mississippi State. What was their record last year? Did they win 4 games?
4-8.
4-8. They got the transfer coming in, Croman Hawk from Florida State, which I have struggled so long with that pronunciation for some reason. And then, Tyler comes in, says his last name, and I'm like, wait, is it Kroenke? Because I just said Stan Kroenke a few minutes ago. And then to go look up the pronunciation on Mississippi State, and they've got a perfect, I love it. It says Croman Hawk.
They were 2-10 last year. Not 4.
See, that's what I was rough. Being nice by saying what they get to 4 wins, but I thought
they beat
2-10.
UMass.
Man, there's just something about that dark red, maroonish, garnetish.
Gives you the benefit of the doubt,
It gives you a little 2-win buzz there, but no, Mississippi State, second year now for Jeff Levy. What are your early expectations for the Bulldogs? Before we don't know a ton about them. We do know Croman Hawk's going to be over there. Don't they have another quarterback?
They got Blake Shapen from Baylor. Very experienced guy, 6-year quarterback, one of those type of. And he's got a little bit of background with the offensive coordinator. They were both over at Baylor there together. The problem is if you're Mississippi State, ever since Mike Leach's tragic passing. They had the 1 year of Zach Arnett, which was very bad, and they've had Jeff Lebby now for a year, and not a great year. So you're going into the third year now, and it's what do you want to be as a program? I don't know if they've found a great
an identity. Yeah, do we want to continue to be air raid dish now that they've been that, but or do we want to get back to kind of what Mississippi State was before Leach, which was Dan Mullen I think had them in an aerial pursuit.
They had
a little bit,
they were very quarterback heavy run.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, Nick Fitzgerald I believe was a quarterback after him, and that quarterback run was such a big part of the Dan Mullen system. Tebow, some of those type of guys, but they just haven't seen. Because Zach Arnett tried to go really heavy from the air raid to like a pro style offense in one offseason.
That's
didn't work
tough
out
to do.
And then you got Jeff Lebby. That's kind of more of the Lane Kiffin. Worked over there, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. So he's kind of more of a little bit more traditional, but not quite air raid, not quite what Zach Arnett was trying to do. I think if you're Ole Miss, or Mississippi State, you've got a pretty tough schedule. You play Arizona State out of conference. Obviously, you're playing 8 SEC games, including Texas and Georgia and Florida, and at A&M. Tennessee. They've got a relatively tough schedule. If they can beat Southern Miss, Alcorn State, and NIU, now they're a game up from last year. But looking at the SEC schedule, Arkansas and Missouri are maybe the 2 most winnable.
Yeah.
And Missouri's been a decent team. Can they stay kind of on that trajectory they've been? I don't know.
Yeah, especially with all the losses that they're going to have. But Eli Drinkwitz has kind of been like an every other year.
Yeah, at Arkansas, that's a road game too.
Yeah.
So their schedule does not set up well, and you kind of feel for Jeff Lebby. But their quarterback, they had a true rusher freshman last year, Van Buren, that played really well at quarterback, ended up transferring to LSU this year. So that doesn't help because now you have another guy coming in, and Croman Hawk or Shapen ends up getting more of the snaps there. But not a great spot to be, and especially Mississippi State with the NIL and the transfer portal. Any guys they seem to start showing promise, they leave.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be tough going for them, I think, for the next little bit.
Yeah, and again, I think until they get the identity part ironed out, it'll be a tough go for them. But, hey, we'll see. Does Locavion Jackson get a lot of snaps, a lot of playing time for the Bulldogs? If there's one place you're going to go to where maybe, starting out as a true freshman, maybe
really, right now, the way college football set up, going to a place like Mississippi State year one, putting out some legit college tape, and then getting a better offer else, it's not the worst way to go about it right now.
It's not.
It's really not.
I'm proud of him, obviously just watching him last year, but to see the explosion that started happening, really, you know, we all knew if you were watching the Mosley football games, he wasn't getting a lot of carries, but when he did touch the ball, it's like, oh my gosh, this kid is special. So after the Niceville game, and he puts the team on his back, essentially, which a great team, you know, not saying it was all Locavian Jackson by any stretch of the imagination. However, he had a huge game, and I felt at that point like, dude, I don't think he's going to be going to Mississippi State, you know? Like, there's going to be greener pastures for him. But he stayed committed there and ended up, you know, actually going to Mississippi State. So I think that's huge for him. And now you've also got Adam DeLand over there, tight end for Mosley. He's also committed to Mississippi State. So maybe now Mosley is mini Mississippi State, or Mississippi State East, if you will. But no, looking forward to that for them. And then we'll listen to the tears from the Bulldogs fans as the year progresses, because it does not look well.
It does not look. I mean, the season should start all right for them. They should be like 3-1, and then they'll probably be 3-9. So, I mean, you know.
Ooh, it's tough, but what do you first see? If you're a Mississippi State fan right now and you're riding and you're listening, you're probably upset because, you know, you don't want to have to get into the reality of this until we get a little bit closer to the season. But I heard 3-9, which is one game in the positive direction. So always look at your positives.
8 years, they'll be 9-3.
There you go.
What, baby steps.
Yeah, the way that it tends to go is like you get to 6-6 and then you restart right there at that point.
Maybe Dan Mullen has a few good years at UNLV and they bring him back home.
Oh, there we go. Wow, what a reunion that would be. Oh, my goodness. That seems like reality TV ready to go. Arkansas. All right, so some things that I found, they've got a mix of veterans. Taylon Green's going to be back over there. They've got some incoming talent. I didn't check out the transfer portal. I don't think that Arkansas this year does not have the hype. It's less hype than what it was last year, and last year was half or more than half of the hype of what the two previous years, Sam Pittman over there at Arkansas, specifically when they had KJ Jefferson at the helm there. What's your outlook this year for the Razorbacks?
Taylon Green was fun to watch, that Petrino system last year. I mean, it got boring. It was bad at times, especially that Tennessee game early when they knocked them off in Fayetteville. But and they got up on Texas Tech in their bowl game, and I think they were up like 20 points at one point, and then still had to they ended up kind of letting off the gas too early. Still ended up winning that game, but kind of made that one closer than it needed to be. Arkansas is a team I want to support. Sam Pittman seems like a really likable guy. His players love him. Petrino is interesting because the fact that he's back in Arkansas after the way he left Arkansas is always kind of funny. But Taylon Green was fun to watch. He's a little thin, and I hope he's put on a little bit of mass just to survive the season because he did run a lot. But a very fun guy to watch coming over from Boise State last year. Their schedule, I mean, again, it's Arkansas. So what if you're a Razorback fan, what's realistic expectation for you? Because the expectations they had for a while when you're talking about with KJ Jefferson and Kendall Briles,
like 8 and 9.
I mean, I think 8 and 4 is a great year for Arkansas right now. But I mean,
I don't think that they get that. I don't know what the Las Vegas totals are or what the betting totals are, but I would imagine for Arkansas, you're looking at 6.5, 7.5 seems pushing it. I would say 5.5.
Probably, because I mean, I would say at Texas and at LSU are probably both losses. At Tennessee's probably lost. You got Notre Dame. So I think at Ole Miss is probably lost. So I think you're looking at 6 losses for sure. So I think if you're Arkansas and you get to bowl eligibility this year, I think you got to be feeling pretty good about that. And then anything over that should be kind of, because there's some games in there I didn't say were definite losses, like A&M, like Auburn.
Which
even
both
Missouri,
of those
feel,
yeah.
Like, they could definitely lose. I'm not saying they definitely will, but they definitely could.
So we're kind of right there. The prediction from 24/7 Sports is 7-5.
I bet the under on that right now, honestly. If I don't know what their Vegas line is on win total, but I'd bet under 7 right now.
All right, so it's May 14, 2025 for all of the SEC teams, which we're not going to go through all. Oh, well, I guess it's not going to give me. What? Oh, LSU, Ole Miss, and LSU, Ole Miss, and Tennessee are at 8.5 wins. I was like, there's no way they got Arkansas at 8.5.
I'd probably take, without looking at Tennessee's
5.5 for Arkansas. 5.5.
Okay, so that's right where we were at. So I like that number. I'd probably, if I had to bet it, I'd bet the under though.
You'd bet the under on that? Yeah, if you had to bet.
If I had to bet, because I feel like there's 6 pretty decently easy to save losses, and then you have a couple toss-up games in there, more likely to lose 2 of those and win 2. You know, As much as I hate to say it, I don't feel great about those.
Those coin toss games are always tough. The biggest strength for Arkansas looks to be solid veteran leadership, and then again what they've added on the portal side of things. The top concern is consistency week to week in a grueling SEC, and that's exactly what you just mentioned.
And that's part of the issue since Sam Pittman's been there. It's like week to week they aren't consistent. Like they'll beat a good team one week, and then the next week they lose or struggle against whoever, and then the next week they'll hold a really good team to 13 points, and the next week they'll give up 42 to like Mississippi State, and you're like, what's going on here? I don't know what's happening. But that offense with Petrino should be a little bit more fun this year. So.
Yes, sir. If your hot's not hot and your cold's not cold, you probably need to give Hiller Plumbing a call. Our confident service technicians will provide you with the solution for any home plumbing, heating, or cooling problem. Let us show you how we can make you a happy Hiller customer. Contact your trusted licensed technician in Panama City today. Go to happyhiller.com. Still looking for an answer for the trivia question. Only 2 players in baseball history have more than 600 home runs, 600 doubles, and 3,000 hits. One player just retired not too long ago, and he just eked over 600 home runs. That's a little hint for you, 850-215-6290. As we continue on with our college football prognostication and our prognosticator, Tyler Bishop, here with us weekly on Tuesdays. Oklahoma. Big win in the SEC. Some big wins for him in the SEC last year. Better season than what was expected. Well, it was kind of hard because we didn't know what Oklahoma was going to bring to the table. Of the 2 teams entering into the SEC, we knew Texas had the roster talent. For Oklahoma, it was like, is Brent Venables going to be the guy for Oklahoma? Do they have their identity? And I think they didn't have that. They were not. I don't think they lived up to the expectations of Brent Venable, right? Of the head coach of Oklahoma, but they did beat Alabama.
Yeah.
So, there was good things for him last year, but there was also a lot of struggles along the way as well.
Yeah, I'm interested if you've got the papers from last year. I'm really curious to what I had Oklahoma at preseason.
Oh, we're going to be going through those. I have all of the papers.
I'll have to see because I don't know if I felt super favorable about them. I think the biggest issue for last year.
I mean, if you want, I can go grab the paper right now. I know exactly where it's at.
Just more like talking about it now. I think the biggest issue with Oklahoma is we saw last year's the quarterback. Jackson Arnold started for a couple games. The offense wasn't flowing.
And he's at Auburn now, right?
He's at Auburn now. So then they flipped to the freshman who finished the game against Tennessee. I can't remember if he started the whole game or if he just finished it out. Almost won that game. And then went to Jackson Arnold like 2 or 3 games later. At one point, they had like their top 4 wide receivers hurt. At one point, they had a bunch of O-linemen hurt. It was just an offense that never had any sort of consistency and, kind of to your point, identity. This year, they've got Ben Arbuckle coming in from Washington State. They had a big year last year, even with Cam Ward leaving, with John Matier as their quarterback, who then followed Arbuckle to Oklahoma. So, as bad as the team was at times last year, the defense played relatively well. We saw what they did against Auburn and Jalen Milroe. Couple interceptions in that game held Bama to 13 points in that game, I think it was. Obviously, there was the disputable penalty on a Ryan Williams touchdown, I believe, if I remember correctly, late in that game. But if Arbuckle and Matier can get that offense rolling, I'm not going to say to Oklahoma teams have passed, like we saw in the Big 12 with Lincoln Riley. I don't think that's a realistic expectation. But if you get to a team that's an offense that's serviceable, we talked about Texas defense carrying Oklahoma, or Texas defense carrying their offense last year. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma's doing that for a much worse offense, and obviously their record reflected that because their offense was so poor. So that's going to be the big question for them. How does Arbuckle and Matier, how do they transfer from the Pac-2 to the SEC? Because you're not playing against the same level of athletes. You're not going against the same level of coaching. It's I'm not going to say easy, but it's easier to put up points on some of those teams than when you're playing. They got to play Bama, they got to play Tennessee, Missouri, LSU. They play Michigan week 3, I think it is, as a fun out-of-conference game.
Yeah, because that's the one that they're going to be making sure that Sharon Moore can coach in.
Yeah, weirdly enough, they got to play Ole Miss, South Carolina, Texas. Auburn, their schedule is not the easiest. It's a tough one. They could be a better team, but their record may not reflect it super well.
Oklahoma, man. Welcome to the SEC, no doubt.
They did not get the same breaks that Texas did scheduling-wise.
Well, you know what? I've got some talking points I want to dive into. Also want to let you guys know that the Braves will be starting their game in a rain delay. So we will be covering this with Braves Network programming, and we'll be diving into we'll get you to the rain delay coverage. But hopefully we will be getting to first pitch somewhere not too far after 6:15. All right, K-Man Rick, before we go to a break, real quick, a quarterback who lit Vanderbilt on fire. Well, he didn't. He turned that campus on fire in a good way. Diego Pavia last year for Vanderbilt wins against Bama in Tuscaloosa, right?
Yeah,
it was in Vandy. Yeah, because they were so great at Vandy last year.
They almost beat Texas at Vandy last year, too.
Oh man, I was really hoping for that one. That would have been. I had a nice couple of parlays involved in that game. That particular one let me down. But they played Texas really good and played them better, or outplayed them in the second half. Anyways, Diego Pavia has some thoughts on who's going to be running the state of Tennessee. K-Man, roll that.
Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year. Like, this is going to be the new staple of like college football is going to happen here at Vanderbilt.
Do any of you and the boys ever like talk about that? Like, we got to beat state school. Well, we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in the Music City. Like, we need to be the brand of Tennessee.
Everyone wants to come to Tennessee because of Nashville. So they want to come to Nashville, so Vanderbilt. And then when we have like the most money in NIL, like, why not come here? So like, we literally just have to win this year and throughout the rest of the year. It'll take care of itself.
You think Vandy will have the most money in the game? Or
I think we'll be up there.
Yeah.
But, like, it's Nashville.
Yeah, there's a lot of big hitters around here.
Yeah.
They just need a team to believe in.
Yeah, that's all they need.
They need Diego Pavia.
They need Diego Pavia. Let's go ahead and take a quick timeout. We're going to play that clip one more time because I liked watching Tyler's face listen to Diego talk about that. And then we'll let Tyler dive into Diego's thoughts on Vanderbilt running Tennessee. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
Get ready to discover new adventures this summer and hit the road in a new 2025 Kia Telluride from Bill Bird Kia. Whether you're traveling on the highways or off-road, you'll do it with grace and grit. Now offering 3.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Telluride. During the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event, experience what everyone's talking about. Stop by for a test drive today and discover the perfect fit, featuring spacious 8-passenger seating, premium interior, and advanced safety and technology features. Bill Bird Kia, the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. The road is yours this summer and a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Telluride with $2,253 per $1,000 financed at 48 months. Quality limit cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers must take delivery from dealer stock through 7725.
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
Transmitting from the CBC Construction Studio. From the diamond to the end zone, from the studio to the sideline, we're the destination for sports on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're back in the doghouse. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. Tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. That is 104.3 on your dial. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick. It's the Afternoon Underdogs live and loud from the CBC Construction Studios. You can call them 850-747-3815. June 28th, Janoris Robinson, the Win Within football and cheer camp. I believe sign-ups are already passed, but that camp will be taking place June 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Tommy Oliver Stadium. That'll be for 1st through 8th graders. That you get a lunch and your T-shirt included. Let's get over to the Red 17's phone line. We've got Paul Ritchie on the line with us. Paul, you want to play a little trivia?
Yes, sir.
Only 2 players in baseball history have more than 600 home runs, 600 doubles, and 3,000 hits. Who are those players?
Hank Aaron and Albert Pujols.
Ding, ding, ding. The hammering Hank Aaron and, of course, Albert Pujols. Yeah, great stuff there. He just got over. What did he end up at? Was Pujols at 601?
I think it was like 604, I thought.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I could be wrong.
But yeah, right, making a run at the tail end of the season and getting it done. Paul, you just got 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, $25 to not the but that boost store, and we're going to throw in 2 passes to the Kingdom Splash Fest for you.
That sounds great. I appreciate it.
All right, Paul, thanks so much for the call and for playing some trivia with us. You guys can call or text and get on the line with us at the Red 17's phone line, 850-215-6290. All right, I'm sure Paul knows where to go and all of that good stuff. I've seen him many a time before. All right, real quick, let's run that clip back of the Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia, and let's get Tyler's thoughts on this statement.
Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year. Like, this is going to be the new staple of, like, college football is going to happen here at Vanderbilt.
Do any of you and the boys ever, like, talk about that? Like, we got a big state school.
Well,
we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in the Music City. Like, we need to be the brand of Tennessee.
Everyone wants to come to Tennessee because of Nashville. So they want to come to Nashville, so Vanderbilt. And then when we have, like, the most money in NIL, like, why not come here? So, like, we literally just have to win this year and throughout the rest of the year. It'll take care of itself.
What? You think Vandy will have the most money in the game? Or
I think we'll be up there.
Yeah.
But, like, it's Nashville.
Yeah, there's a lot of big hitters around here.
Yeah.
They just need a team to believe in.
Yeah, that's all they need.
They need Diego Pavia.
So, what does he mean just win this year? Like, are we saying another 6-win season for Vanderbilt? Like, is that... where does your brain go when you're hearing him talk? Like, I think it's fun, it's exciting to talk like that. He's talking with Will Compton with Bussin' with the Boys, Taylor Lewan. I don't know if he was on that particular podcast or not, but he's talking with Bussin' with the Boys. And so, yeah, it's fun. They're, both of those guys play for the Tennessee Titans, Taylor Lewan, Will Compton. So there's the Tennessee connection right there. But are we talking reality right here?
No, we're not. I mean,
no, we're not. You're dead.
I mean, you kind of. I mean, but that's his game, right? Like,
yeah,
it's the confidence. It's Baker Mayfield-esque, right? Like, what I'm saying? If we're talking like,
yes,
the guy who, especially Baker Mayfield, kind of started off as a walk-on at Tennessee or Texas Tech, won the starting job, walked on in Oklahoma, won the job, Heisman, first round. And we've seen his resurgence in Tampa. So like, that's kind of where, like, I'm kind of comparing at least the attitude to. And Baker Mayfield did some stuff people didn't like either.
Yeah.
But, like, and I get it, as a quarterback, you have to believe these things. But let's be honest, Vanderbilt is not going to become the state school of Tennessee. They may have the money, but they've never once decided to spend it in football. So I don't think they're going to all of a sudden, and not to mention.
Thanks, Diego, because of you.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and let's be honest, Vanderbilt, people just don't care that much about football because they've never been good.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for, even if they had if they had a couple billionaire donors that could throw some money around them, maybe, but like, if you go to a school like Bama, and Bama's traditionally good, been good recently, like, it's easy to be a fanatic about football because there's been something to be fanatical about. Georgia, Ohio State, Florida, Tennessee, like, all these teams have had, or all these schools have had teams that have been like worthy of the praise, worthy of the fanaticism. Vanderbilt has had some 9-3 seasons, which are good for them, but like, they've never won anything to make you want to be a fanatic. I mean, Vanderbilt won 5 out of 7 games against Tennessee in the in the 2010s. Did anybody know that?
No.
Did Vanderbilt
did you
become,
just look that up?
I knew it was a significant number before Heupel came in. And did they become the state school of Tennessee? No. Did anybody care? No.
No.
So like, I mean, it's great. I love the swagger. I love they won 5 out of 7. Like, and they won 3 in a row. And so like, you know, it's like I respect it, but like, let's be honest, that's just a bunch of BS he's spewing.
Outside of, you know, the other sports, in the sport of football, the last thing that I remember from Vanderbilt, outside of last year losing to them, was when they, you know, started out 3 or 4-0 and then started holding up "We Want Bama" signs. It was like, okay,
they probably ended like 5 and 8.
It was the final score of that game was something like 5 and 8 combined to not combined but 58. You know,
and like James Franklin had 2 or 3 really good years there, and that's how he got the Penn State job, and that's great. But like, I mean, like I said, I respect it, but it's just a bunch of nonsense.
So for Clark Lee, do you think? I mean, he's a Vanderbilt guy.
He's a Vanderbilt alum, yeah.
So with that, do you think Clark Lee is going to change Vanderbilt into being what Diego Pavia is talking about, running Tennessee, or is this a stepping stone for him as well? Because he seems pretty adamant about wanting to change the culture there, or maybe not change the culture, but embody the culture and bring the football program up.
I think him and Brent Key at Georgia Tech, 2 very similar guys, like very no-nonsense, old-school guys, both alums. Like, I don't know if Clark Lee played at Vanderbilt. I'm assuming he probably did. But so 2 guys who know the academic limitations of their school, some of the support limitations. So 2 guys that are uniquely qualified for those jobs and probably care more about those jobs than the average person that's going to take them. And I think the problem for Clark Lee, we've seen Georgia Tech have a couple big wins, and I mean, they almost beat Georgia last year, beat Florida State week 0 in Ireland. That was big for them. But like, the problem with Vanderbilt is they're never, I'm not going to say never, but in this era, I think it's going to be hard for them to put up a good enough season for him to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how good does he have to be at Vanderbilt to get a job from a program worth leaving to? And I mean, if we're being honest, like, defensive-minded head coaches are not the biggest in demand. I mean, I'm not saying they're not successful. I mean, obviously Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. We've seen Pete Carroll even. You know, we've seen some very successful guys, but they don't get the hype. They don't get the hoopla. And unless he brings in an OC that's going to put up 80 points a game, but then even then the OC is going to leave and he's going to have to replace. So it's a series of events there. And I don't think I hope he does well enough to stay at Vanderbilt long term, because I think it's a cool story. Vanderbilt is who they are, and I have nothing against Vanderbilt. I mean, if you told me there was a 0% chance Georgia was winning the SEC this year, I'd much rather be Vanderbilt than almost anybody else in the SEC.
Come on. I think every
SEC fan would feel the same way.
SEC teams, would be like, well, if it's not us,
it's my team or Vandy. Like, those are the only 2 teams, you know. And so, like, I've got nothing against them, and I would have no problem with them, and I'd love to see Tennessee get kicked down a peg or 2.
Yeah.
But it's not a realistic possibility.
Oh, and another thing with Vanderbilt is I feel like all SEC fans are like, you don't really do big things in football normally outside of, last year, and you have years every now and again. But it's like I think some SEC fans would rather be like by Mississippi State more so than Vanderbilt. Of the originals, then you go, then you start diving into
Missouri. Be my number 1.
Yeah, I think everyone that I think Oklahoma and Texas fans would obviously agree with you pretty quick, right? Because they want to feel like they've been in this conference for a while.
Like I said, Vanderbilt does some good things, baseball and basketball and some other sports. But it's just, like I said, I respect his pride and his trying to. But I mean, it's not like we saw an influx of NIL or not an influx of transfer portal this year. Not we saw a huge recruit flip to Vandy because of NIL. So they may have had this money, but they ain't spending it on football, and
he's
that's
just
fine.
Been talking trash, right? Talking about the Big Ten. Then he's talked about Ryan Williams.
And he said allegedly somebody offered him SEC school offered him $4 million. I think it was Auburn, so they wouldn't lose to him for a 3rd straight year, but that's neither here nor there. But like I said, I like his style, I guess. And he's one of those guys, like, if he was on a bigger team, I'd probably hate him because he'd be annoying. But it's Vanderbilt, so it's kind of cute, you know what I'm saying? Let Vanderbilt have a little fun, whatever. We don't have to play him this year, so it's not like one of those things I have to worry about losing to him, you know?
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to tread lightly over here, brother. Especially after what happened last year. It is funny, though, because I don't normally go back and see where, what position coaches played, but Clark Lee, we were talking about, he played at Vanderbilt. He was a fullback, though.
Okay.
That's what's interesting, right? Because he's a defensive coordinator, and throughout his tenure, you look and he was a linebackers coach. Until he was a defensive coordinator at Notre Dame from 2018 to 2020, he was a linebackers coach at several different universities. So I thought that was interesting. And his head coaching record, I mean, this is, doesn't every coach wish that they could get an extension after, a career record of 16-33?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how much
different at Vandy, and I'm giving him credit for that.
I mean, but if you got so that means he was 10-27 going into last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, they went 6-6 last year. I don't know if they won their bowl, but I mean, so like. It kind of what we were talking about earlier with Mississippi State. Like you saw the progress year 2 to year. I think last year was his 3rd year. So no, going into year 4, like and again, if you're at Vanderbilt, you're kind of
they did win their bowl game 7-6.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not you're coming into a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, so like. I mean, I ain't mad at the guy for getting. I mean, he's probably making $4 million to win 1/3 of his games. That's not bad.
I just thought it was interesting. Yeah. I thought the confidence was very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. But the fact that you're sitting there saying Vanderbilt's going to run the state of Tennessee, and he's got a good point. Nashville and everything, but Vanderbilt's been in Nashville
for their entire existence.
Oh, damn, brother!
Like I said, it's just Tennessee is too big of a program. Like for football, there's probably a lot of people in that school or state that are Tennessee football fans, and probably like Vanderbilt basketball or baseball. And that's fine, whatever. I don't care if you're that kind of fan, but like, it's just, they're never going to be the football king of Tennessee. Let's be honest.
All right. Does Mississippi State, we talked about this earlier with Jeff Lebby, do they need an identity shift? We talked about, that they don't really have an identity, but do they need to shift it? Which direction? Let's say this. Which direction should they go in now? In more pursuit of an aerial raid, an air raid type offense, similar to what Leach had, or would you like to see them, Jeff Lebby, kind of change his entire offense and start running the ball?
I've always been in the opinion, if you're in the SEC, and I mean you could even apply this to the Big Ten, but like if you're not one of the top tier teams of that conference, like if you're Mississippi State, you're never going to out Bama.
Yeah.
Right? So like if you're Kentucky, I've always felt this way about Mark Stoops. Like he's done well there, but I've never understood the fit. When Arkansas hired Brett Bielema, I never known. Like if you're those type of schools, like you're not going to out Georgia. You're not going to out Florida. So like you need to be a unique scheme matchup one way or another, most likely on offense. And so we saw it at times with Kentucky and Hal Mumme back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. We saw it with Mike Leach at Mississippi State. Even Dan Mullen a little bit at Mississippi State. His offense has become a little bit more mainstream than it used to be, but at the time was a little bit more innovative. I mean, we've seen it at times with Ole Miss before they got really talented. Lane Kiffin's scheme, being able to scheme up some stuff. But I think with these programs, and even Tennessee to an extent, I don't think Tennessee is at the same level as some of the other schools, but Heupel's system beat Saban twice. You know what I'm saying? He's had some really good years, some of the best years Tennessee's had since the Philip Fulmer years. I think you need to be unique if you can't acquire an insane amount of talent, and I think that's what Mississippi State should be always trying to find. An offensive guy, whether it's an offensive coordinator from Texas State or a head coach from Texas State or Baylor or Illinois State, somebody who brings unique things to your program, because you're not going to have enough horses to just line up a beat most of the teams in the SEC.
Well, two pieces of quick news here. Coach Rondy Ross, who was over there at Rutherford, he gave in his resignation. He is now on the Bay High basketball staff along with Coach Memon over there. So two head coaches, very successful head coaches, joining forces there. It'll be Coach Mike Memon as the head coach, and then Rondy Ross will be on the staff there somewhere. But exciting news for Bay High. That's great news for Bay High, and just kind of still scratching my head at the decision over there or why, not scratching my head, more just inquisitive of like, I wonder why Coach Ross left Rutherford, but interesting nonetheless. It's also National Mascot Day, so simple question for you. Who's got the best mascot in the SEC? But obviously you can't take UGA.
I can't.
I got them pulled up for you right here.
Man, I would have said back in the day Colonel Reb. I thought that was always a very unique, like just the look.
But they're Tony the Land Shark.
Yeah, now they're the Land Shark now. I've always loved that LSU has a real tiger.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. Like Mike the Tiger's a pretty I went to high school with a girl who was one of the Florida female mascots, so that was kind of neat too.
Oh, Alberta.
So I'll go Mike the Tiger, just because having a real live tiger that lives on campus is pretty sweet.
All right. Oh man, this one's tough. I'll go Big Al, since we can't choose UGA. I'll go Big Al. Let's see. I like. Does Arkansas ever have a live hog?
I think so.
That would be.
I think that's one of the more unique, like the Woo Pig Suey thing.
I'm going to go with Cocky. out of South Carolina.
That's solid.
Yeah, that's the direction.
I will say I've been at Auburn for the Eagle Fly, and that's a pretty cool pregame thing.
Braves weather delay coverage coming up next for Caveman Rick. For Tyler Bishop, I'm David Hayes. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Jesus loves you, so do I.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
Hi, this is Ryan Mulvey, and thank you for nominating the Inside Drive on the 2025 Best of Bay. To vote for the Inside Drive as the best